Getting a little feedback there. All right, good morning again, everyone. I have started the recording, so again, I want to record this meeting for anybody who is unable to attend or for anybody who wants to go back and review. If anybody is having trouble hearing, please send me in the chat to let me know. In the chat, again, there is a link to the agenda for the meeting. I can send this out as well following the meeting directly to your Google accounts. And within that agenda, we have several of the resources that we have available. Throughout the session, if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to turn on your mic and ask, or to put those in the chat feature, and I will answer those following the meeting to the best of my ability. But I want to thank everybody for being here. I know everybody's extremely busy, and a lot of these meetings, I want to make sure this one is as concise as needed, but again, that any questions I can answer are answered. So what I want to start with is on the agenda, just kind of a brief overview, and I believe that Gwen has joined the meeting with us as well. So Gwen, at any point, if you would like to step in, we would appreciate that.
Of course. Good morning, everybody.
PreK Roundup is going to be advertised for a 2-week window, April 27th, this coming Monday, through May the 8th. And really what we're trying to do is get the pre-enrollment numbers, or the best estimate that we can. We understand that going to all online is going to be different. It's going to be a little bumpy in the process because of the documentation pieces that we will still have to accumulate from the registrants. What the online system will allow us to do is to gather a lot of the information regarding our English language learners, so we can begin setting up the testing process. It will also collect all of our economically disadvantaged information, the foster care, the military, so we can have some of those pre-qualifications done. And then the last thing we would probably have to verify would be our economically disadvantaged status by getting the income verification, but we'll talk about that as well. It's been set up now in Teams that actually parents of new students can create their own accounts. So I'm going to show you this. This allows them to set up a parent self-serve account themselves and then register new students to the district, or request registration from the district. Once the registration is opened, we can't limit it to just pre-K enrolling. So we are aware that during this window that the registration will be open for all students enrolling. But again, what we're really focusing on here is our pre-K enrollment. The enrollment packets. Enrollment packets have been simplified compared to years past to give a more uniform and condensed view. They've been aligned to the online information for ease of entry into Teams by all of our Teams specialists. And you can find links to that in the agenda. We have the forms in both English and Spanish, and you can see here for the pre-K forms, we're right at 15 pages, I believe. Those are available because I understand that in some cases, we're still going to have paper packets. Let me share the agenda. I got a question to do. Let me share the agenda out to the whole group. So I'm going to begin to share the agenda with those that are in attendance. I apologize for that. Is the link in the chat not working to access the agenda all the way at the top?
It's not showing in the chat window.
It's not showing in the chat window?
No.
That is strange. Are you seeing my other two messages if you have any questions during the course?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to send it again. Is the link showing
Now
up
it
now?
is. Yes, it's there now.
Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank y'all. I don't know why that didn't show up earlier. Okay, I apologize for that. So those links to the registration packets are there in the agenda. If you have parents that have to have the paper-based and they want to pick those up in a way that you set up for the campus for limited contact, we understand that. Basically, at that point, what we're going to ask is that you just send a scanned copy of the completed registration packets to Sari Cuevas, and we will collect all those and distribute the information to our various departments for verification on the pre-K qualifications. Of course, retain the original on campus that we'll use to complete the verification process as we approach the 2020-2021 school year. We understand that we're still going to have to receive all of their documentation for pre-K enrollment prior to a full acceptance into the program. And so what we're trying to do is determine which students need to be tested for English language learning, and then which students need to are pre-qualified based on, like I said, the foster care, the military or armed forces qualifications, homeless, and then the last one would be if they don't qualify by any of those, of course, educationally disadvantaged based on their income surveys that they will complete in the enrollment packet. So I wanted to run through and show you guys what the online registration process will look like. Most of y'all have seen this, but I actually set up an account where I can enroll my own child. So the updated online registration screen is in place. Again, they also have access to go to the parent self-serve page from here. So if parents have students in the district, but now they're enrolling a new pre-K student, they'll actually be going through using their same user ID and password and creating that new student. If parents do not have a student in the district, they'll actually be registering themselves as new users. And you can see here at the bottom of this window, there's this option for register new user. Parents here can actually generate their own parent self-serve account, and this will allow them to go into the online registration process. They will determine which campus they're eligible for based on address information provided, and we can route all this information then appropriately. We will have instructional videos posted on the website for parents on how to go through these processes as well as we get that system updated. For existing parents, we know one of the biggest pieces is if they don't make regular use of the parent self-serve platform, they probably have forgotten their user ID or password. And this is going to be the majority of the questions that we have coming in will be those that are unable to access their parent self-serve with their user ID and password. So we've also opened up a couple features on the parent self-serve for returning parents. They can now use the forgot user ID. So if they were logging in, you can see here they have forgot user ID. It's going to ask them for their email and the last name. And this is going to look for accounts of parent self-serve that are tied to that email. And it would send them a instruction email on how to reset a new password.
Patrick?
Yes.
Hey, can you go back, touch back over that piece again? So I'm understanding that if families, parents already have a student enrolled in Waco ISD and they're coming on the online platform to enroll their pre-K student, they don't create a new account. They already have the existing account tied to the already enrolled student. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so on that wording on there, because it says return, if you go back to that screen where it says returning students, current and returning students. So is that in the fine print? Because when I see that header, I'm not thinking that because I'm thinking my pre-Ker is not current and returning, they're new.
Um, yes, and what will happen, there is a safeguard built in, and I'll go through that and I'll put some clarifications in the instructions on that. If they
Okay.
click register new user and they already have an account made with this information, they will actually get a warning. Let's see. So they will get this warning if they go to new user registration, and we'll give direct instructions, and I'll cover that in the tutorial video for the parents as well, that they'd want to go into jump to online sign-on instead of continue to new user sign-on. So we may have some that generate a new account. We can take care of that. But again, we'll give instructions on making sure they jump to their online sign-on and then show them how they add the new student there.
All right, thank you.
The advantage to this is if they have students already in the district, they can actually copy a lot of the contact information over to their new student, which prevents the parents from having to duplicate their enrollment packets. They don't have to go through the process for every single child. They can complete the enrollment process with one packet and enroll all their students at one time. So hopefully this will ease some of the tension at the campus as well when they're completing online registration. And just so you can see, as we go to, once they've found their user ID and password, and we know realistically that some will not be able to track down their account, they will have to contact someone. We're going to be staffed in the office next week. We'll also forward phones. So Rita Weens and Sari Cuevas and myself will be available to answer questions for any parents trying to do pre-K registration and to assist them with their access to parent self-serve. And so what will happen is when they get into their online registration, if they have an existing account, they would see students. If not, when they come to this point, the only option they have is to create a new student. And this is where they would create their new pre-K student. Again, what's good this year is we've opened up the ability to copy contacts. So if they wanted to bring a lot of the information that's already in the system over for the new student, for the pre-K student, they could do that just by selecting the existing, and then they would select their contacts from the list. And then it's just stepping them through the standard online registration process. So you can see here again, with new students, they would enter all of the student information. I know we're going to have to go back and verify based on legal name, legal address, and all those pieces once we get closer to the school year. But this gives us a starting point to work with that in electronic form and should be very efficient in making those adjustments. They do have to complete all of these sections before they can move forward. And of course, the navigation is a little bit confusing, and I'll make sure I try to explain that to the best of my ability in the tutorial videos as they step through. But again, student information, the parent guardian contacts, I'll run through all of this in their instructional video and step sheets. We've added medical history this year for the nurses. So any of those medical conditions that would need to be addressed, they will have that information electronically from the parents along with signatures. The student forms are in place, same as last year. These cover anything from your residency questionnaire, homeless questionnaire, like our standard income verification documentation. All of those are in the student forms as well. Are there any questions of that process and what it looks like? And then, of course, are there any concerns? Well, I know there's going to be concerns.
What about parents who don't have internet access?
So the ones that don't have internet access, that's why I did go ahead and place within the agenda those paper-based packets. If the campuses have contacts, and we'll have them at central office as well, if the parents want to pick up a paper-based packet, if we're able to provide those for them, and then they can return those to campus. And again, at that point, we would just ask that the campus scan the entire packet and send that to Suri Cuevas, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Last year, we had 11,305 online registrations completed within the district. I know a lot of that was due to the hard work of you on campus, helping them, guiding them through that process on the laptops at the school as well. So I do understand that this is not going to be a process that will collect 100% of our information. If we can get a projection of 50 to 60%, we're better off than where we are right now with no information. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. You were saying that they could register, the parents could choose, this is for existing registration for new pre-Ks and existing ones. On the field where it has the address and phone number, can it be a mandated that they cannot just submit and bypass that address and that phone number section? I found out that yes, there was a lot of enrollees, but when we come to the demographic and the phone numbers were not updated, where they were just allowed to bypass those screens.
So those with existing, you want them to have to also go ahead and redo that information?
Yes, so even though they're registering a new pre-K student and they're selecting new existing students with them, make it a format where they have to still update that address and all their phone numbers, because a lot of them don't even have access to change. I think it's set up to where they can't change that phone number.
Yes, we can set that to where the system looks at and requires them to complete those fields. We can actually do that down to the individual fields. So I will set that up on, like you said, any of the contact information, and have that required for not just new students, but also for existing.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Excellent.
Patrick?
Yes.
So we've had a lot of students move, or not a lot, but several students move like to different schools. So should they come enroll at the school where they're currently enrolled, or go to their new school to enroll?
When they, at this point, I think there's going to have to be flexibility. I think it's the one they have easiest access to, but ultimately their address will guide them to where they'll be. So if they're enrolling new, the address should automatically route that information to the appropriate campus. But I think if we can have as much flexibility as possible, even if it's just distribution of the paper packets to those parents, it would be good during this time. The hope would be they go to their home campus.
But they'll be able to change the address on the contact person, because you're saying they can update they can input the contact
Yes.
they previously had enrolled. They'll be able to update the address, because otherwise it would still point them to whatever school they were at before.
Yep. So once we have them with the ability to update that address, it should route to the appropriate home campus.
Okay.
So Patrick, who is distributing these paper packets on campus? Does that mean the Peamskirk's going to have to come in to do with these, or what?
That's the big kicker. it to me, it's almost if they're placed in a location where the parents can pick them up themselves. I, I don't want to cause more contact than necessary. I also don't want to cause the additional work of I know how difficult it is to coordinate like it was the passing out of the materials in the packets. This should not be as large of a group, but I know that you will have an influx, especially in that first week. Um, I'm open to suggestions on that one. I don't know a perfect solution.
Okay, well, I was just curious because, I mean, that's going to be hard for somebody to do that remotely, especially if there's not anyone here at campus really, but
And we do know that, and that's why we're also we're going to give our, like I said, our central numbers for parents to call so we can guide them through this process as well. It's not going to be perfect, and like I said, we're not going to capture all. What I'm trying to do is prevent. We don't want duplicate work. I don't want our staff and you guys having to duplicate effort. So I don't want you to feel like you're enrolling them now and then having to redo it at the end of summer. This information now should be verified at the end of summer, which should be a faster turnaround during the registration process. And then, again, I just don't want you having to duplicate effort, and I don't want the parents to have to duplicate efforts as well.
Patrick, if somebody's not at the campus, they can't even get in to get a packet if they want to. So we'd have to have someone there.
Well, I think I'll have packets at central administration. Do y'all feel like it would be better to just distribute from here? Gwen, what do you think about that?
I think if you were to do a drive-by, how we did with the laptops, distributing the laptops, if you were to have it at the central office on Franklin and have them do a drive-by packet pickup and send out a call out saying, if you do not have access, like you had to specify if you need a packet pickup, and then you just pick up, hold on to it, and then once we start getting those in, then specify where you want those turned in.
Perfect.
Jennifer, thank you. I definitely agree with that. We need to centralize it, and so we don't have spots all over the district. Again, the only concern that I see then coming up with that is transportation to get down to central office to pick up said packet. And so then the backup to that, we would need to consider to come up with. But yes, I do like where we have designated dates with time frames, and they can come by central office, just pull up. They're on Franklin, and we have a team that hands them out the packets.
All right. So I'm seeing a couple good. Excellent. So that sounds like our. Do we agree that that might be our best possible solution in this case and put the least amount of burden on our campuses? Are we comfortable with that?
So where are they going to return them? I mean, if they do them, they want to
can-
return them to the campus, and they're just going to return them back to y'all.
They can return back to us because then we can distribute to the campuses. We can get our scanned copy and then we'll distribute the originals back to campuses.
Okay, that would work.
All right.
that is kind of a lot though, Patrick, for somebody to handle at central office. I mean, and still stay safe. I mean, you look at what Gwen put together last year with PreK Roundup, there were a lot of people there.
Yes.
So, I mean, we still have parents who are a little leery about even getting out to come pick up a device because, you know, they don't want to get germs. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's going to be, a portion of the population that are not within any of the options we provide. We're not going to be able to get them in. So we do understand also that, as we get to our more normal registration process, as campuses typically open end of July, 1st of August, that we'll have to deal with some of this then as well for those that were unable to complete the process. But at this point, Gwen, I want, if you chime in, based on qualification and teachers and sections, we're going to have number limitations based on these pre-enrollments, correct?
Yes, sir. The other thing is, and Grace joined in on us with us here a moment ago. Grace also needs to have an idea of how many children that her department will have to be assessing. Grace, do you want to speak to that and what's come down from TEA?
Hi, good morning, everyone. And so basically the guidance from TEA is that because of the nature of the assessment that we need to give in FERPA, we cannot assess English learners for identification for pre-K at this time. Now, as far as summer school goes for English learners, that has not been canceled. That's the guidance that we've received, and I'm going to be meeting with LPAC chairs next week to provide them with these updates. And so one of the things I'll be sharing with them is that at this time, summer school is not canceled. And so our hope is that, with us having pre-K roundup at this time, online virtually, is that we will be able to assess some of the pre-K students in the summer. One of the things that Patrick did share, which, really, I was really happy about it, was that the home language surveys and all of that is, if the parents are able to complete that remotely, that will give us an idea of how many students we'll be looking at for possible identification, because what I want to do is put together spreadsheets so that you can have by campus an idea of how many pre-Kers you're going to have, because I know you need that for planning for your pre-K classes. And usually we're able to assess the students and then you have an idea of how many students you're going to have. But with the way it is right now, we won't be able to start doing that like we normally would do at this time of year. So our hope is to start gathering the information from the remote online applications and then start bringing in the students for testing in the summer. Now that's as of right now, the summer school hasn't been canceled. I don't know if we'll receive guidance later, but I think at this time, our summer school usually starts the first week of June. And so I'll make sure and keep everyone updated on that. But that's something I'm going to be discussing with LPAC chairs, because right now the guidance is that even end of school year LPACs don't have to be done to the fall. And so the testing for English learners, what the PEA has asked is that we do that the first 4 weeks of school when we start in the fall. But what I'm thinking is if we're able to have summer school, then we can bring students into the office, because it'll be one child at a time and test them. And I'll get guidance from TEA to make sure that we can do that. But they've also, like I said, they've given us guidance that has to be done at the beginning of the school year. It's just a lot to do at one time when we're already testing other students. So I want to make sure and give you all an idea of how many pre-K English learners you're looking at. In terms of the packets, for paper pencil, yeah, that's a really good question, because some of the parents will need paper packets. I do agree with Gwen, and I think having them centrally located is good, and then having just a date that they have to bring them back, giving them a window, like a week window where they have to bring them in, but then someone's going to have to process all that, all of the paper packets. I guess they'll have to be sorted by campus, and that's the part where we would just need to all plan of how we sort them by campus, and then maybe just because we're all working remotely and we're working from home and there's FERPA involved, and so yeah, lots of things to consider.
All right, thank you, Gwen. Yeah, we definitely, I feel we'll send out details on the central location and pickup. And already, Ms. Pritchard, thank you for the suggestion on the bins for distribution, but then also if we have a mail slot for drop off where parents can place the packets into a secured location for drop off as well. And then as far as the distribution to campuses, like I said, we can handle that when, and then my department will be able to go through and collect all that information and distribute appropriately. Again, we want to make this as easy as possible for our parents and as easy as possible for our campuses.
Okay, I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, may I ask a question, Patrick?
Yes.
And this is Grace again. In terms of the home language surveys, for me to access all the surveys, is that something where I can just go through Teams? Would you need to give me, because I have access to Teams for all of the different screens, or is that a different type of screen I would need to have access to in terms so I can see who?
So on that one, for the campuses, no information will have to be distributed to individual departments because all the information through the online process would be electronic. I can send that information directly to the departments. So when to answer your question, Grace, yes, I can give you a spreadsheet, or I can drop that information for you for all of the home language survey results.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Because that'll help me put together that information for the campuses, and then it'll help us so we can start contacting parents to schedule that testing.
We'll have that information live as registrations are submitted.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Perfect.
Patrick.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, I know we're talking about doing it in a central location, which is great, but then we're going to run into the fact that we're going to have parents to say, I don't have a ride. I don't have a way to get there. So is there a way that maybe we can do some packets and, I don't know, put it like in a little mailbox thing outside our campuses, so that way they would have access to come by and pick one up from the campus?
I am not opposed to that in any way. What I don't want to do is have campuses distributing one message. We're going to promote a central location to try to handle the majority of it. If you have those one-offs, you're going to have those contacts from parents. Please feel free to accommodate them in any way possible to assist. But just know that we will have the option of the central location for them. So it doesn't mean that you're required to at the campus level.
Okay.
Okay. The question, of course, comes in as far as required documentation, when we'll actually verify. So again, as we look closer to our registration process during the 1st of August, and right now, since everything's up in the air, determining opening and all of those pieces, we'll have to kind of play that by ear. But we know that even with the online registrations complete, they will still have to bring in all the qualifying documents, all your birth certificates and proofs of income, proof of residency. That won't change. We're just hoping it streamlines the process on the campus so they can move through that quickly with the information they already have entered online. Support and resources. So right now I'm working with Haniel. We're going to be updating the website. And again, the parents will be guided to this. Gwen's also working with the communications department for the PreK Roundup flyer and the information she'll push to campuses. But we're going to update all of this information, so we will house all of our registration information in one spot, which gives them access. It will give them access to the new pieces. We can also give them access to the packets here if needed, if they want to print their own or are able to print their own. But again, I'm working with Haniel. We'll have this updated in English and Spanish before Monday. This also gives them access to the online registration process. That's the easiest way to link to it. So we'll put that on the PreK push out as well, as far as the link to online registration. This is also where we'll post all of our instructional videos. So there'll be YouTube videos that could be shared and pushed out as well.
Will it be notated somewhere, like pretty boldly, that the registration isn't complete until the documents have been turned in, not only on the online process, but somewhere in the packets as well, like a cover sheet or something?
Yes, we will add that to the packet, and that's going to have to be the clear message. And Gwen, you can help support that through the mass push out as well. This is a pre-enrollment. This does not guarantee the placement for pre-K students if they don't meet the qualifiers, and that message has to be very clear because we know that will cause confusion. So yes, we will have a cover sheet to really identify that, and we'll also make it more apparent in the online setting as well for parents and in the instructional videos.
Okay.
All right.
Patrick, I saw a question about, if I'm understanding it correctly, it says something about when someone enrolls, how will we know we have a new pre-K student? Ashley's asking that. So do campuses have a way to access daily or however they want to do that to see how many families have pre-registered online a student that is zoned for their campus?
I think the easiest way for me to handle that is I will build out a Google Sheet like I have done on several of these processes where each campus will have their own individual worksheet. And so I'll drop the data into that to update for all of the online registrations. So you could have a running list of online registrations by campus. Does that sound reasonable?
Ashley, is that what you're asking? Okay. Yes.
Perfect. So that will be another link, and that'll be a simple process, and that way I can update it each day to give you an updated list of pre-K students that are pre-enrolling on your campus.
Okay, and then Ms. Crater, any print flyers and such will be in Spanish, but this makes me think to ask Patrick now, the videos, the YouTube videos for assistance, will those also be in Spanish? I know Cerise is bilingual, and so she was one of the ones you mentioned that will be in the office next week, virtual hours to assist families. But what about the videos and instructions, Patrick? Will those also be in Spanish?
Let me try to coordinate with Suri and Haniel, and I will definitely try to get those in Spanish because I know that is much needed. So I'll work with Haniel and Suri to see if we can if they can re-record the videos with the Spanish over.
Okay.
And Patrick, our department can help you with forms and things like that. Anything that you need us to help translate.
Well, Cindy and Cindy Ortega has done a great job. We have everything translated, and then also I may get some help with the website translation from you.
Okay. All right.
Again, I didn't mean to take this much time. I know it's going to be bumpy. I know there's going to be lots of questions. We'll get all the information out. Look at this agenda. It will continue to be updated. I will continue to add the additional resources on that same page so you can have access to those. And we're going to work centrally to try to make this as smooth as possible for the campuses. And so again, any questions, please do not hesitate to email me or call my office. I have calls forwarded to my cell phone now, and I'll be happy to help.
Patrick, I have a question.
Okay.
As far as the remaining reports that we have to turn in, or the grades that we have to turn in, I mean, how's all that being implemented? Like our rollovers, our next feeder school, are we having additional meetings on those, or how are we handling that?
Yes, so right now we have all of our new grading policy goes to the board on Thursday. So we've tried to put in some changes, but we're kind of waiting for the finalization of that piece. Once we have that, I have Rita Waynes and Suri, like I said, coming in next week as we're looking at the end of the year rollover. I will send out likely another meeting for all of our PEEM specialists that we can discuss end of year rollover and in preparation for next year. It is a difficult task with you guys being at home. I understand, and I appreciate y'all's continued dedication.
And so for this, we're anticipating for grades to still be inputted for the 5th 6 weeks and the 6th 6 weeks. Is that correct?
Actually, based on the proposal going to the board, grade entry would be just for the 5th 6 week marking period. So the 6th 6 week actually goes away. And so now all the averages will be based on the 4th 6 week, and the 5th 6 week, which actually runs the time frame from February the 24th all the way to the end of the year.
Okay.
And so we have information sent to the teachers about a new weight category, a video on how to add that to their assignment categories and how to grade moving forward and during the closed instructing time. And that should correct all of the calculations. We'll also send out information with new updates on that to you guys as well.
Will we have a separate meeting as well, or meeting with our counselors as far as our credits that the students will be getting for the fiscal year for the electives? Not electives, but the credits that they will be receiving for the year, because that's a big part of my job as well.
Mm-hmm. Let me touch base with the counselors on that and get back to you with an answer on that.
Okay.
Patrick, did grading information go out to the principals? Well, you said the teachers are been told already?
No, I think they have it set for this week's need to know. And I know they were kind of waiting on the board meeting and the final approval before pushing forward.
Okay, is
that's all crazy news to you?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know.
Oh.
Alrighty, that's fine.
Sorry, Patrick.
Do not apologize. We are all in this together. So, anything else for the good of the cause? I'm gonna come back on video. My favorite camera angle. Always from down low, straight up. Isn't that the exact wrong camera angle? I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate y'all taking your time this morning. I apologize for keeping you longer than intended. Again, any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. If you don't have my cell phone number, 254-495-4197. I'll put it in the chat. Anything you need, do not hesitate to contact me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're very welcome. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Gwen. We need to get together.
Yep.